the biggest impact on the build is how good the design and the design documents and the collaboration are, for sure.
G'day guys, welcome to the MTDC Lounge. This is a podcast about the construction industry and what you can expect. Whether you're a bright-eyed renovator, a budding developer, or a seasoned vet, we will dive into the construction world, touching on what to expect, what's next, and how to go about it. We'll hear from a heap of experienced consultants and trades. Be sure to tune in for all aspects. So let's get stuck into the next episode. G'day guys, and welcome to another night on the lounge. You're here with Matt tonight, and I've got Chris Walkom. He is the managing director of Walkom Constructions. He's owned the business for 13 years. He's a multi-award winning HIA member, a professional builder of the year the last 4 years running. That's about right. And you've got 20 years in the industry. You were chippy first, and you've moved off into the building industry, and you're one of Newcastle's probably most renowned high-end renos and new builds. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for having me. You've done your homework.
I did. No, thank you very much. No,
it makes me feel a little bit old, actually, saying 20 years in the industry.
Mate, you're doing well.
I had, I think it was 20-year school reunion last year, so it's been some time. But yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, and love the space.
No, thanks for coming out, mate. It's really great to have someone with such experience, I guess, in the Hunter region, and the wealth that you'll bring to, I guess, the lounge tonight is going to be immeasurable. And I've got some hard hitting questions from clients, from people, some frequently asked questions, if you will, and having your experience to answer these ones is going to be red hot.
See how we go.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, mate. Well, I guess we're going to kick it off. Like the hard and fast question: where do you get into where do you fit in to the industry? Where do you fit into the whole process of the design and construction space?
So like right from someone thinking about building before plans and all the way through to construction. Is that what you mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. When does a client engage a builder?
Oh, like it's never too early. It's never too early for the discussion because, I've been asked this a lot, is it an architect, building designer, or is it the builder first? And I guess there's a couple of pieces to that. It depends what you're building. Renos and extensions, for example, for sure. You want to get a builder in early to assess your existing structure, see what you want to do. Like, is it anything is possible, but is it something that's just going to be too far-fetching from trying to tie into existing, or is there going to be a cost that's just going to be too great? New builds, it's the same kind of thing. Like, I think you got to get both first, is what I feel. You have to have your designer and you have to have your builder, and you got to pick them at the same time, because the relationship between those two people will have the bigger impact of success on the project than anything, I think. So, like, it's never too early to talk to a builder, even if it's just to run ideas by, because they might have done a similar build, it might be a similar extension, or a similar new build 6 months ago, 12 months ago, and they can sort of have discussions about, what the costs might be. And that's one important factor for people wanting to build. A builder can't tell you whether something you can or can't do something. Obviously, that's where, someone like yourself comes in and you'll say, yep, the council restrictions say you can or can't do this. And that's why you need both. I feel like you need to know first, can I actually do this? Is this actually possible within the realms of planning constraints from council? And number two, is it buildable from a construction perspective and like a cost perspective? Is it going to be prohibitive, or is it going to fall within what we want to spend? So for me, I like to be involved right from the start, because I think that's where we can contribute the most value, through the process, through the design process. And the more we know about the project, the better it is the better the build goes, the smoother the build goes. Like, you got someone that's, been working with an architect, with an engineer, with a geotechnical engineer over the course of 12 or 18 months before you start building. They're going to know the site. They're going to know your existing house. They're going to know the plans back to front. And so the earlier the better. If anyone was, looking to start the process, pick your team early. Pick the whole team.
100%, and I completely agree. So, you and I have spent some time on site, meeting the same clients. The interaction between yourself, the client, and myself, particularly while we're spitballing our ideas, and you're talking from the construction perspective, I'm talking about the planning perspective. It gives the client a holistic experience to understand that we're working together to make something great. It's been a common theme throughout the last couple of episodes, throughout the podcast at the moment, that working together as a whole, or at least a unit, it gives the client the best possible outcome for the cheapest possible price. And I think it's a very huge thing to be able to work together in such a way where what's going on, or the designer knows what's going on, so there's no miscommunication between the client, the builder, and the designer. And it's a huge thing to make sure that everybody's on the same page and there's no miscommunication, there's no nasty surprises. As a designer, coming from a designer's point of view, as you want to design something that's going to be buildable, achievable, and cost effective, and it's going to comply with the client's requests plus the council's requests. And you guys just want a good set of plans that you can read, and the client's not going to be misunderstanding anything. Yeah,
for sure. Like collaboration, what you said there. So to take that example of, like, say you've got your designer and your builder on site, and let's say it is you're looking at doing a large structural extension, which always involves part renovation for the front of the house. If you're looking at it and you've got your builder and your designer there, and your builder's done like a little bit of investigation work, and an experienced builder who does this day in, day out will know that there's a lot of common themes with working with an old house. There's a lot of common problems tying into existing structure, that kind of thing. Someone that's been doing it for a while, they're going to see the potential problems, not all of them, but a lot of potential problems where they've been caught before. So you might be a discussion where you're having with the designer, and the designer's like, yeah, you can probably, you could extend out the back here, you could, have a little tie-in section, you could then do a cathedral ceiling out the back, or whatever the brief is, right? But if the builder's there, they're going to go, got to be careful about that because of this, this, and this. Like, yes, you can, like I said before, you can do anything, right? But doesn't matter the projects that we've built over the years, they've always had a budget. It doesn't matter if it's the $25,000 deck or what that I did when I was starting out, or if it's a $3 million build in town or near the beach or something like that. They've always had a budget, So being able to talk together with the builder and the designer on site, and sometimes with the terminology of building, it's like another language. And so some conversations can go over the client's head, like they do with me if I'm listening to any conversation about anything else. Don't understand the terminology. But if you got trust in your builder and your designer, they're having those conversations. They're working those things out even in a real-time sort of conversation. So you and I are having a chat going, yeah, well, I suppose we could do that. And then we're accelerating the process too, because rather than just going in and just designing, then sending it on to a builder and a builder coming out and saying, oh, this is going to be a bit of a problem here, here, and here. Here's what we're going to have to do to get around it. You're kind of having those discussions in real time. So the collaboration piece, is massive. And like you said before, you can't have people working in silos, particularly in the design process.
In the whole industry as a whole. And especially, in the through the design, like you say, through construction. You can't. It can't go from designer then to structural engineer or then across to your energy efficiency
consultant, and then across to your council, and then to your builder to price, because it's missing that collaboration piece. And so when we pick up the plans at the end of the day to get ready to build, and say we haven't been involved in the process, there can be a clash in plans, a clash in design. There can be things where there's an opportunity to do things better, and it involves getting back to like a redesign stage. So that's why I think like the collaboration early on is just, it's the only way to go.
It's the key, 100%. And I mean, it's so the question of I guess, when do you get involved is always going to be a chicken before the egg. It's a matter of just saying, hey, choose your people, choose your team, make sure you do your research is my strong advice. Do your research. Who have you got backing you? Who have you got doing your build? Who have you got your designs? Find out their steps, in my opinion. Find out the steps. Who have you got working with you? Who would you recommend? Because even in the design world, the designers have their skills, their niches, their places that they work best. You know, you've got the Hamptons designers, you've got the contemporary designers, you've got the guys that just want to do the decks and the retaining walls. Everybody has their thing and everybody has their skill, and that's perfectly fine. And it's just important to have that strong team, I think.
Yeah, I think like what you said with asking, like ask questions, like just talk to people, talk to a few people. Like it's a lot, like it's like a marriage, you know, when a designer and builder and client get together, because it is a process. You know, there's it can be like, and it depends on what it is and what looking for and how busy, you know, clients are, and, you know, and builders and designers. And there's times where I've started talking to people, you know, early in the process. We've gone through the design with the designer. We've built the place, and I've had 3 kids. You know,
yeah.
And that is a reality. Like it does depend what you're looking for and your time frame and how committed you are. Like, but you got to start talking to people. You got to pick your team early. You got to feel like you can trust them. For a builder perspective, you know, I had a call. Oh, it was probably about a month ago now, and you know, I love the questions that they were asking. You know, they were saying, "Oh, have you done this sort of work before? You know, what's the most recent one you've finished?" Like, where they're actually live down in Sydney. So how do we keep in contact with you, or how will you keep in contact with us through the build? You know, what are the sort of risks to this type of project that you can see? Like really, like it didn't feel like an interview that they were asking me questions, but they were really strong questions. I could tell that they'd spent time to do a bit of research, and you know, they were really keen and committed to picking a good team, and that's the start of a good process and a good outcome.
A good healthy question set is always going to weed out the weak builders and designers. Yeah. If they can't answer these questions, the strong, hard-hitting questions, and they can't give a good answer, then they're not for you. They're not for the builder or the client. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's actually a really great segue into, you know, how do you find a good builder? Like what is a good builder? How do you find a dodgy one? Where is that line?
Oh, I guess it's different. That's a good question. It's different for different people. So like someone might click with someone, and I've certainly had it where like the owners and I haven't clicked, you know, and it wasn't something I was doing or they were doing. It just didn't click, and that's all right.
It's a personality.
Like I'd prefer that, you know, rather than sort of go through the process of spending the next 2 or 3 years together. How do they spot them? Like, there's a couple of things you can do straight away. So you got to go on and check to make sure they're licensed, you know, and that.
Well, on that one, so where do you check that?
So Service New South Wales has like a contractor lookup, and you can look up someone's license details, make sure they're active, make sure they're able to get the right insurances, which is the home warranty insurance, or HBCF they call it. Yep. So that's the first one. Finding out, do they have any reviews?
Reviews are huge. Google.
Reviews are huge. Google reviews, testimonials, video testimonials. Can you talk to some of their previous clients or see some of their previous jobs? Like, at the end of the day, if you're a client, you're spending big money here.
Sometimes they're life savings.
Yeah, exactly. And going into debt for that you're going to have to repay for the next 20 years. You're entitled to ask these questions. If we have someone, we'll just put it on the table and say, here's a few other jobs you can come and have a look at that it might just be similar to this job, and they can go around and speak to some of the clients. And we're really fortunate that we've got clients that'll do that. But, how quickly did they turn up? Did they turn up on time when they said they would? Are they doing what they say they would do? Are they getting back to me? Like all those things can have an impact on, are they going to deliver after the contract signing?
I think quotes are a big one too. So if they find a builder and they get along with a couple of builders, once they find a couple of builders that they want to get along with, I think the quote tells them a lot about a builder that they really should. I think they're huge.
It is, and that's one I got, I guess, a few opinions about. Like, if you're getting a quote on 4 pieces of paper on 4 pieces of paper for a new build house or a significant structural reno or addition, like, just don't do it.
There's missing stuff.
Just don't do it. Like, the most important thing you can do if you're reviewing quotes, right? Because people want to get, if people want to get multiple quotes, then, absolutely. Like, that's what they want to do. That's fine. And we don't have a problem with knowing, and we ask, how many quotes are you looking to get for this? And that's something that it's just a little bit of a tester to see how upfront. Yeah, probably more upfront. Like, because I'm happy to have the discussion with someone. If they look, we're probably going to get, this is a really tight project, it might be an investment, we're probably going to get 6 or 7 quotes. I might decide that, okay, I won't throw my hat into the ring for this one. I'll still give them some advice and say, this is where I think it'll land. But for me to go into 4 weeks of pricing to do what we do, our proposals could be 40 or 50 pages long, to lose to someone who's got a 4-page quote.
Yeah.
But you gotta make sure you're comparing apples and apples. And to this day, I've never had that happen. Like, whenever we've sort of asked questions about, quotes or different competitive quotes with us, it's never, there's always something. There's always, you're never getting, it's not like you're buying this apple from Coles and this apple from Woolworths, or I suppose, apples and oranges sort of thing, right? But it's not like that. And the price is the price and the product is the product. There is always something with building. There is just way too much involved. So you have to, the first thing you want to do when you get a quote, right? And I'm the same, I do it sometimes too. You just want to scroll down the bottom and check out the price. But it's getting into the detail of what's actually in the proposal, what's actually in the quote. Like, that is the most important thing. You kind of got to ignore the cost at the bottom to start with and get into the detail.
It's hard to skip all the detail because you want to know the number.
You want to know.
But the devil is in the detail, right? Like, you got to, if that quote isn't, if the quote's not broken down enough and you're getting a 4-pager, and look, there's builders out there who charge for their quotes, which I feel is completely fair. Like, if they're spending 4 weeks on a quote, I think charge away. And I think a value of charging for a quote, for a 4-week quote, and then it coming off, the build or whatever, however the situation is, I think that's important, because at the end of the day, that builder's putting that effort into the quote, that 4 weeks is going in. And I think these 4-page quotes, or these 1 pages, or these dirty quotes that don't have anything on them, they're breeding this variation culture where you've got a fixed fee agreement, or if you've got a cost plus agreement, whatever it might be, this variation culture is a race to the bottom, I guess you could say, to say, hey, yeah, I'm going to give you this small quote, and we're going to get you this full build for this really dirt cheap price. And then this client's going to go in there happy, thinking they're getting this great deal, they're better than anybody's prices in anywhere. And then all of a sudden, halfway through, they go, bang, here's a 50 grand vary, bang, here's a 75 grand vary. And then they're going to be like, hey, where did this money come from? Why is this happening? And then they go, hey, check your quote, this wasn't in there.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate, because there's a lot of people and a lot of builders out there doing really good work, especially in the Newcastle area. Like, I see it across social media. I know quite a few of them. There's heaps of people that are doing a good job and doing the right thing, but there's always people that just that either ruin it for the rest, or they're trying to be greedy. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's why it's really important, and it goes back to your builder selection, and understanding about, like, what do you put in your proposal, what do you put in your quote, and and it's not a client's fault, because if they've never built before, or they've done a small job before and haven't gone this far along, they just don't know, and they don't know that that a 4-page quote isn't acceptable enough. Like, you go in and buy a car, and they'll give you that much information about the car and the specs about the car for a 20 grand car. This could be talking about multi-million dollars worth of cost for a build. So I think, where it comes to proposals or say quotes, and we charge for a proposal, but you're not buying the proposal, you're buying the builder's experience and knowledge over the last whatever years. We will detail out exactly what we do and why we sort of charge for it, and give examples of what you get back. If I'm a homeowner and I'm about to build, I want to understand exactly what's included. I want to understand the risks of the project as well. Understanding, okay, well, this is how much a fixed price, this is how much the build's going to cost. And it might be for a reno, it might be for a custom new build, but okay, so what are the risks with that? Where are my biggest risks with the project? Is it going to be in the ground because we've got, poor soil or poor founding material? Is it going to be tying into the existing structure? Like, what have you seen before? And we cover all of that. So and we use our experience that we've gained over, and it's my whole team's experience that we've gained over 20 years, and usually gained from making a mistake.
Yeah. Well, that's why you're up the top for the last 4 years in a row, mate, I suppose, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So it's important to find out these red flags. It's important to find a builder that's transparent and is open to have the conversation, someone that's understanding, and is open. Yeah. Openness and ready to collaborate and have that conversation with a client and all the surrounding consultants to make sure that the job's done right. And that's what I think is the bottom line.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Couldn't agree more.
So I guess the question on everybody's lips: how much does it cost to build in 2025? What's the value? I'm talking from renos. Mix it up. I don't mind. So there's a reno or there's a new build. I know there's two massive varying costs between a reno, because you have to build for what's there, and then there's a cost for new build. Hit me.
This could take a while. What are you building? And that's genuinely what I mean. Yeah. What are you building? If you're in the custom space, right? If you're in the custom space and it might be a custom new build, or you're in you're doing a massive reno extension on your house, there isn't a square meter rate that you can throw at it. If you're doing a bit of a development, specky, or something like that, or project style home, of course there is, because they're a lot more, I guess, boxed in, structured with design and what's happening. But with a custom build, we've done custom builds that they could be 3,500 a square meter. They could be 8,000 a square meter. It depends on the type of the site that you're building on. How much slope is it? Bushfire? Is it got lots of? Is it rock and we're trying to dig it out? Is there lots of glazing? What's the external cladding look like? Is it suspended slab? How high is the roof? What architectural features have you got? That's just in the structure before we get to the finishes, right?
I haven't even spoken about the finishes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's too many in the custom space to say, because honestly, the way that we work out a square meter for a build is, and if we talk specifically here about a custom new build, right? If we talk specifically about a custom new build, you're speaking to the designer, you're speaking to the builder. You got to get something on paper first. You have to get a concept plan. You got to invest a little bit of money and a little bit of time to work with a designer to get a custom concept plan design done. Then a builder can go in and go, all right, based on some previous projects, and run some calculations. They might be able to speak to a frame company, maybe even having a discussion with an engineer if they got the relationship about what the structure kind of looks like. Work out a range of costs, because you don't know anywhere near enough about giving it a proper fixed cost, but work out a range of costs, and then whatever the floor square meters is, you just divide one by the other. Like, that's the only way to get a true sort of square meter price, because if you're saying like, what's it cost per square meter to build, that's like, the first thing is, what are we building? Like, I can build something for a lot cheaper, but it's not going to be what you want. So what's the point of the discussion? So, and the same goes for like renos and extensions. They're much trickier. So again, depending on your type of house, let's say you got like a miner's cottage, and you're looking to do an extension off the back of that, and you can get 60, 70 square meters. Don't know a square meter rate, but there's probably 5, 6 different projects that we've done over the last, 3 years, 4 years, not so much lately, but 3 or 4 years, where I can say that was that style project. This was the price range for that. So, you know what I mean? And that should hopefully give a client or a homeowner a little bit of confidence or knowledge to be able to then go back and say, all right, so are we prepared to spend $500K on a reno here? Let's go talk to real estate agent. Let's go talk to the bank. Let's see if we can get funded. Let's see if we can fund it. Yeah. So costs of, like, as we know with COVID, like I went to just a conference yesterday, and they were talking about a bit of property development around Newcastle, and Craig Jenniam was there from HIA, great bloke, Craig, and he was saying, what they sort of worked out as a bit of an average that, through COVID and after COVID, your renovation costs increased 40%.
Wild. And that's both because of product and the availability
of
trades. Yeah.
Supply demand.
Yeah,
so, and what was interesting, so that's 40 grand every 100 grand you spend, so the 300K reno extension's now 420 grand, right? And that was a couple of years ago. I was saying sort of typically increases are sort of every year 3 to 6%. So it only got notoriety through COVID because of how crazy it was. And it was crazy. Like, there were a lot, like, look at the industry now. Look at how many builders and small business owners closed their doors or were shut because of that, because locked into fixed price contracts, they probably tried to honour them behind the 8 ball, and we're still seeing the lag now.
Products went through the roof. Timbers went out the door.
Everything. Not only could you not get it, it was massively priced. So that had a huge impact to where we are now. But you still see, like, concrete, some framing materials, steel materials, glazing, they all still increase regularly, maybe every 3 or 6 months, definitely every 12 months. So to sort of answer the question, what's it cost to build? What are you building? But, you know, and that's where you have to sit down and work out what you want. That's where, if you're an owner, you got to sit down and say, okay, what can we afford to spend on this house comfortably? You know, if it's a extension, if it's a reno, okay, we want to spend, like if someone was doing an extension, and this is broad terms, right? It's very broad terms because it depends what you're doing. But like, I wouldn't go into it spending $300K thinking things are going, like those days, they're long gone. Be the bearer of bad news. They absolutely are, because most of the time, the design encompasses doing at least one bathroom, usually 2, because you're going to renovate the existing bathroom. Then you're going to do an ensuite with a walk-in robe, right? And you're doing your kitchen and your laundry.
30, 40
and a
grand.
deck out the back.
30, 40 grand a piece, right?
Easily.
Yeah.
You know, so they're your most expensive areas of the home. If you're adding on a couple of bedrooms, well, yeah, sure, but that's usually not what people are doing, right? Most people that we see, and I'm sure it's the same with you that you chat to, they wanted that. We spend all our time in the kitchen. The kids spend their time out the back.
Open plan living, bigger kitchens,
totally.
Ensuite away from the kids, bigger spaces.
Yeah.
Highlight windows, big open doors,
exactly.
All of it.
So there's two trains of thought to what's it cost to build, right? If you're looking to renovate and extend, right, yes, you could have a conversation with a builder who may have done a similar job before, and they can give you a guide, right? So they can give you a bit of a guide of price so that then you can run your numbers yourself, whether you want to invest it, what the overall property is going to be worth. There's a lot of time, like I haven't seen we haven't done a reno that hasn't over-capitalized. Like they've all over-capitalized, you know, because that's just the way property prices haven't increased that much, and then building costs have. So they're all over-capitalizing, the ones that we see. If you're doing a new build, get some plans drawn up. Don't get the whole set. Get your concepts done. Speak to a builder. Get your costs. And then you can say, okay, well, so this is what we want. This is the range it's going to be. Like that. That's the simplest answer to what it costs.
Yeah. So, and I guess that's important, because I know on your website you've got a rough estimator, I guess you can say. Like if you head over to your website at walkom.com.au, you've got a pricing program hidden there in your website, so they can head on over there and kind of punch in their details, and they give a very, very, very loose and rough price of what they're kind of looking for. Is that right?
Yeah, it does, and it's yes, it is broad.
Yep.
It is a range, but I helped. So a builder that I met through like a development coaching specialist for builders course that I did some years ago. He's based up in Brizzy. Like he put it together, and then he asked me about sort of what prices are doing around Newcastle, and then he put together sort of the algorithm based on like, okay, this was the type of project, this was the total value of the project, and kind of worked a lot of it out around that. So it's actually based around a lot of
your numbers
builds. So that's good. But it is a good way to understand what things are going to cost, because the only pricing that kind of is out there, if you go looking, right, it might be in the project home space, you know, and project homes have got their place in the market, absolutely, you know, but they're a completely different product to what a custom home builder does. Completely different product. So if you're looking at doing a new build, for example, and you go on a few websites and you're like, oh, I can get a new build for $450,000, you know? Yeah, but if that's what you want, that's okay. But
Usually,
you know,
missing the
how is this
flooring.
reno going to cost me $450,000 if I can
Yeah.
get a whole new house? And you know, there's a lot more labor costs in doing reno and doing custom. There's a lot more oversight required. There's a lot more management required, and it produces what I believe to be a better product and a better outcome, but it comes at a cost.
Absolutely, and I think that touches on a really great point. You know, what is the difference? What is the main difference between a custom design, a custom builder versus a speccey or a kit home? Like, what's like yeah? So what is the difference?
I think the difference is more from the client perspective, because it's the value that they see. You know, it could be like a first homeowner, right? And they just want a house, and that's their entry point and their way to get a house, right? So their value is in just having a house. You know, they're not so much worried about a range of choices and all this sort of stuff. But if you go custom, it's more of an experience, and it's more of a collaborative approach with an owner and a designer and engineers throughout the whole process. The difference is, like, I believe, obviously, like the finish, the quality of the finish, for sure. The type of products that get used, you know, and it's hard for me to say because I've never built a project home. I've seen them, but I've never built them. So, but I know the range of choice. The customer, it's built for you. It's built for you and your family to a high quality finish. It is bespoke. It hasn't been done before, you know, so
the effort's actually put into every inch of the house. It's not, you don't have the groups and the big crews that have the lowest paid guys. They're not ripping in and getting out. You guys actually care about, you know, the entire project from start to finish.
Well, there's definitely a lot more oversight. Like, so, you know, I know, and most builders are the same if they're custom, that, like, you know, there's a foreman or a site supervisor. They're there every day. And so you might not necessarily need that for a project home, but for a custom home, you need that, you know, and you need collaboration continually with the architect. You need collaboration with the owners. Like, you know, and most custom builders would be the same. I'm pretty sure every custom builder around Newcastle would be the same with this, but, you know, everything's put in to exactly what you want. So that's, you know, that's the heights of your showers to how tall your family is in some cases. It's exactly where you want your mixer. It's exactly your vanity height. It's absolutely everything. It's not just send the plumber in and he puts it where he puts it, close to or wherever according to the plan. Like, you're talking about people that are working out tile heights from frame stage so that a full tile finishes on a shelf and you don't have a dicky little cut there that, you know, every builder that walks through, they'd see it, you know, and they'd be like, oh, what's that? So it's the finer details that when a builder who appreciates it and an owner who appreciate it come together, like, it's art. Like, it really is.
100%. I could not agree more. And it's all the way from the floor finishes through to, you know, the wall layouts and structural layouts and roof designs and you know, even the finishes to cabinetry. The cabinetries are like, it's such a beautiful thing when cabinetry comes together, and even lighting design. You just don't get lighting design when you go to a speccey, right? Like a good lighting design can make or break a house, and I think you see it time and time again. You know when you have a good sparky, you know when you have a good lighting designer, because the house just tells you without saying anything.
It's really underrated, and to be honest, like, up until a couple of years ago, I underrated it, like, massively. It's
Me too.
Like, you know, downlights, up here. And then I think we built a house in Cooks Hill, and the owner did all the finishes, right? And an awesome job. Like it was very bold, you know, but the way it all came together. So it was like dark wood grain, kitchen joinery. Some of the joinery, a part of that was like a salmony pink. The stone, which was a natural stone, had like pink through it. But the way that it tied all together was unreal. And she had just picked like the best light fittings, like so much that I'd never thought before. Like we just get them, we put them up, but I was like, wow, half of the reason that this place looks awesome is not only comes back to just like the design, because you can't forget about the design, like because as a builder, it's our job just to like get it off paper and make it look like what's on paper, but to what the client is imagining that it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure, like how many 3D renders are you doing now?
Oh, millions.
Oh, you got to do it.
Every time.
You got to do it. Like honestly, you have to do it. If it costs a bit more, you have to.
We do 3D walkthroughs, so we do like full BIMX.
The BIMX?
Yeah, we do the full BIMX files, and we color them, and we do the full designs on the inside. So that gives the client the opportunity to walk through their project in real space.
Totally. Yeah, and we as builders forget that because we can picture it off the plans.
Yeah.
But what I'm imagining and what you're imagining could be two different things,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. Like lighting design, I did it with my own place. Designed my own place. I got started building and everything. And it was funny. I just met this lighting designer, and she said, "Hey, I think I really want to have a go at designing the lighting for your house." And I kind of had a chuckle to myself, and I tell her the story all the time. I was like, "Why do I need a lighting designer? Don't be silly." And she's like, "Oh, let me just have a whirl at it, and you can tell me what you think after." And I can tell you with an ounce of regret that she has made the place look absolutely amazing, from the small details of the downlights all the way through to the custom hanging downlight that I've got over my kitchen at the moment. So she went out to the Dudley Beach and picked up a driftwood piece and wrapped LED tubing around it, and it's just this floating timber light that looks absolutely fantastic. And it's one of those things that everybody that walks into the house goes, this is amazing. And I'm like, do you know what I did? I just said I wanted something cool, and you know, nobody's ever seen it. And she said, hold my beer, and she come back with this. So it was amazing.
Pretty cost effective with that one too. So that's because those light fittings, like they can be pretty extraordinary.
Yeah.
Oh, we did a project. One of the lights spec was $8,500, and I couldn't believe it. And like, it was like and there was two of them. Yeah. And we, that was the last thing that went in, like day of handover.
Yeah.
While the clients were there, we're like, don't let anyone, no one's allowed in after this.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. But you're right. Those little things, those little points of design, they turn a house into a home.
Oh, absolutely. I said, so like on this one, so I told my lighting designer, Michelle, she's going to be on the podcast too. I told her that I wanted the starlights in my media room. We all know that you single drill those holes. You feed those fiber optics into those holes. Cost you a fortune. And she turned around and went, "Matt, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of money." And I was like, "Give it to me a lot cheaper. Well, what can you do?" And she said, "Wait on, give me a minute." So what she actually did, she came back and she gave me these full black felt panels that they all install as one piece. Half the cost, half the labor, looks the same, still actually work it from a light switch or your dimmer, and it looks magic. It's fantastic.
So is it like, it looks like little stars in the sky pretty much?
Yeah. On a felt pad that actually hides so because it's so felt that
all the drilling's done. One connection or whatever it is per panel or something.
And the felt's so black that it doesn't steal any light from anything, and it just looks magic. It's fantastic.
Yeah, right.
So.
That's right. And see, like, that's just the power of the relationships between the consultants that you pick. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the fact that you can offer that, the fact that like you know someone who knows someone, and that's what, like, that's with this industry is the best thing, and it doesn't get used enough. The collaboration between, like, too often it's just too linear with saying, I'll go to this designer because I feel like, it's a little bit cheaper. And then, okay, well, that designer so then I'll send it on to this person. And it just, I don't know. It's like if you trying to cook a meal and there's no sort of head chef or something, you're just like, right, I've done my bit, throw it to the next person, and you end up with just a whatever it is at the
Dog's
end.
breakfast, yeah.
Yeah, like, whereas that you got to leverage on the collaboration and the connections that when you speak to a designer early days and speak to a builder that they've got. Like that, there is so much value in that, let alone the fact of all the cost savings that are in that, because you're not going to be making the mistakes. You're not going to be open to the risks that come with, just sort of trying to do it in a linear fashion. And then, the biggest impact on the build is how good the design and the design documents and the collaboration are, for sure.
Yeah.
The builder, of course, who you pick to build it,
yeah,
it can go the other way. You can have the greatest set of plans and
horrible
horrible
person to put them in.
experience.
And I think that's the greatest thing about the collaboration as well, is that it doesn't if you have somebody that works well within a group, and they know how to communicate and they know how to kind of sell a story or sell a thought or an imagination or a picture, that person, designer, builder, whoever's getting involved, that consultant will definitely know someone somewhere that has done it before or has seen something similar and knows a way to put it together to get a good result. And ultimately, again, give this custom home, this custom renovation, this custom design, a life that nothing else would give it if it was a chopped up piece of work that just keeps getting passed down the line.
Yeah.
It's a massive thing. So I guess like we could talk all night, mate. Like there's so many things, there's so many questions. I'll have to get you back on again so we can go through it a little bit more. But I mean, just to wrap up, what do you think? What do you think clients should know before coming out to you? What do you wish they knew?
As much as me, if they could, would be great. I'd be doing my job for me.
Yeah.
Oh, far out. I think there's a couple of things, right? And I think overarching or overall, I would say that your team that you pick for going through this build journey together, because it is a journey, and there is ups, and you get to know people really well. You get to know your builder, and you should get to know your builder really well, your designer really well, who they speak to with an engineer. If you got an interior designer, you get to know a lot, about them and their lives, and who you pick as that team will have the biggest impact on what you get and the quality of that product and the quality of that experience at the end. That is the biggest thing. You have to pick, and you have to pick, people who you in your gut feel like can get you from where you are to where you got to go, or where you want to get to. That's the biggest thing I see. I think from a more specifically from a builder's perspective, we care. Like we care about your home, and I can't speak for all builders, but I can speak for the builders that I know, and for my team. Like we care about your home, it's my name on the sign, and it's a lot of builders' name on the sign. And,
It's your
where I
license.
come from, in Dubbo, that means a lot, so it's our name, it's our reputation, and we care about your job. We want a good outcome. We want a good outcome for you. We want an enjoyable experience for you and for us. So, I think we definitely want you to, it's definitely good for them to just do their little research about a builder or about the construction industry, get themselves involved. Like if you're thinking about building a house in 2027, start looking now, easily. Start looking now, start doing your research now.
Start working on the plans.
Start working on the plans for sure. Yeah, you're right. I mean, not at the start of 2027, but start looking now. Start asking questions. Start visiting websites, reading blogs. All that kind of thing.
The more time and effort that you put in it's the quality of the product at the end of the journey.
Yeah, definitely, and like going at 100%, and going back to that. The team that you pick. Like if you've got plans and engineering and you've got it all together and you haven't spoke to a builder and you're just about to go speak to a builder, it's too late. And I know that happens, and it's a bit of a dire attitude, but it is. Like, in my opinion, it is. The project may still go and go well, but it's a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity if you're not chatting with the builder early on. That's probably another thing that is good for them to know. And what else? We're not the highest paid people in the industry. There's a lot of money that comes through and a lot of money that goes out, but like things like, we have discussions about builder's margin, right? Like I always like to have whatever discussions we have is pre-contract, right? I hate when something comes up after the contract's been signed and maybe I didn't make it clear. So no question is a silly question, number one. No question is a silly question, because I hate the fact of, if someone didn't quite understand it or I didn't make it quite clear because we were talking in, lingo of building or whatever. I want people to be as comfortable as possible with what they're getting and what, say, a contract looks like as possible. So it avoids a conversation later on, because we don't want to be one of those builders where, it's sucked in and then, you just slam. We don't want to be that. So we want to help people understand that, as a company, we need to make money. And, builder's margin gets brought up a lot. I can tell you now that builder's margin, right, that's in a contract, that is not profit. So if there is, say, 20% margin in a builder's contract, right, that 20% is not just profit. That's to cover the overheads of the business, right? So, and some people know that, and some people, they struggle to grasp it because they see as that's just all the money the builder's making. It's not. That's money that's going to employ office staff, insurances, fuel, vehicles, all this sort of stuff, right? And if an overhead is 15%, for an example, which I think is probably at 15, could be 16, somewhere between, I'd say, 13 to 18% being average, right? For custom building, that leaves somewhere around 5% that is the profit. And 5% on, say you've got a variation and it's $1,000, right? And it's $200 for the profit, but it's actually only $50 that is the actual profit that you then pay 37.5% tax on, or whatever you're paying. A lot of variations aren't even worth it. Yeah. So you look at that 20%, and that's something that I like try and explain to people. That's just not, you don't just look at that and say, oh, that's all the money, I've got to pay an extra 20%. Like, it's even bizarre that I like to have it in there. It's good for clarity, but every bit, the way that a business becomes professional and trains their employees and employs them safely and improves the industry is through running a profitable business. So that would be another thing that, like, I would say to understand. And if you don't run a business, if you don't own a business, it's fine not to know it, but I like to have the discussion about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess what do you think a designer, or what can we do, or what can us as designers as a whole, what can we give you and the client to ensure that they're going to get the best quality, and what can we put on our plans to make it great? Or what do we do, or what do some designers do? What happens, or what do you think, or what would you like to happen to our plans to make sure that you get the best result?
It's a good question, because as a builder, right, we don't know how to design. The only way we know to design is through seeing multiple different designs. But we might see 10 different architects or designers sets, way more than that. But let's just say in a year you see 30 different sets of plans, and they're all different. Like, for clarity, like, it depends, mate. Like, honestly, it depends from architect to architect, designer to designer. Like, at a bare minimum, like, what would probably be a way to answer that is to be able to sort of say, as a builder on site, or as a foreman on site, you need to be able to trust those plans, right? And not from like a finisher's not from like a every little detail sort of perspective, but because we know that, say, with a renovation extension, things might change a bit. But the moment on site that there is something, say in a bathroom layout, oh yeah, but the shower head's not actually going there where it shows on plan, it's actually going on this side wall. That's the moment that the guys on site just go, we can't trust the plans. That is the moment. And then what happens with the plans is they get put away, and they only get pulled out every now and again, because we just confirm things as we go.
Yeah.
So whatever changes are made through the build, like, we love them to be reflected in the plans, So joinery, for example, right? Kitchen joinery. You do your design for the plans. Then the owner goes to a joinery company, and they do a design, and things change a little bit. Happens all the time, completely fine. But the sink's no longer there, it's over there. Now, if you don't speak to the plumber on site, that plumbing waste that's going to go in the slab is going to end up over there, not over there. Like, that's why we like having joinery designs. So, and then from that moment, you go, oh, I'm second guessing myself for every little thing. So an owner's probably got to understand that that's cool, but you need your designer on board on your side. And if you decide to make changes, that's fine. But pay your designer to get them right on plan, because then we can trust them. Then we can keep referring back to the plans through the build. We're not just kind of not making it up as we go along, but not thinking, well, yeah, it said it on the plan, but is that actually right? Because if that shower's changing to that wall, or that plumbing point's moving to there, what about that one? What about the other 15 in the house? Are they right? Are they not right? So I think just consistency across the drawings, so that there's alignment between structurals, architecturals, and if they're joinery. Like, that would be a huge thing.
Well, on that note, mate, got to wrap it up. I could be here all night talking to you about all of the ins and outs from start to finish. So I'll definitely get you back on, and we'll definitely have all the chats. So there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us again tonight. I hope that was super informative with Chris's 20 years of experience. If you guys have any questions for him, questions for us, anything you'd like us to question him about, please follow, subscribe, send us an email, do what you need to do, and we'll make sure we'll follow up next time he's on the podcast. Have a good night. See you later.